Quiet on the set. Here we go. Five, four, three, two, one. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our genealogy desk in the last week since last we met. I notice that a lot of you have caught on already and have heard that there's a giveaway. And the way that we are going to use the giveaway tool provided by StreamYard to give away Nathan's 2 books is for you to type in that hashtag Mondays with Myrt, all squished together like hashtags are, with a capital letter for each word. Makes it easier for people to read it. Hi, Maria, the greatest neighbor on the face of the earth, earth, earth. And Betty Lou's here from Arkansas. And let's see who else. Yep. Oh, you're down in Tokerville. Have you totally moved out? Your house? Yeah, I can't believe it. Valerie's here. Yeah, Karen, we are in the Pacific Northwest, and it has been death defying up here on Guaymas Island with my trees bowing left and right. Let's see. Hi. Karen Looney's got it. And let's see. Everybody's doing a great job. There's my cousin Cynthia. And yes, Maria has. Well, I'm so happy for you with your new plans for your house. The old neighborhood ain't what she used to be. Let's see. And Sherry's over on the YouTube side. She's got that little crescent wrench icon after her name, and that means that she is a co-host over there. So thank you, Sherry, for doing that. And then Melinda also has that little crescent wrench. So they're both volunteering, as we all are, talk about our favorite subject, genealogy. Um, yeah, thanks, Melinda, for being a co host over there. All right, we got the whole gang here. I'm going to do something different. Well, we do want to introduce all the panelists who are here. So Maria is my timer, and she can tell me what to do repeatedly, probably. She gives me the 10-minute warning shot. Shot heard across the nation since we're on opposite coasts. Melinda is here as well. Ellen is here. Frank from Germany is here. Hillary from Wales. Randy is here. And our newest baby is Gwen, our newest panelist, a newbie. I don't think that's a bad word. Some people think calling somebody a newbie is bad. I don't. I'm a newbie at half the stuff I try to do in a day. And Gwen, welcome. We're happy to have you. And let's do this. Let me have everyone, Hillary, if you take everyone off stage into the backstage. What I'm going to do, folks, is normally I would wait to do the interview toward the end. But because I'm having bad weather and I'm likely to lose my internet, I'm going to do my Nathan Dylan Goodwin interview first. I don't normally do it that way, but it's just how it's going to go. Now, Nathan, being the world traveler that he is, took Robert for his birthday trip to Vienna, not Vienna, Virginia, but Vienna, Austria. And the pictures have been awesome. So Nathan and I got together and recorded earlier. This is a new thing to be doing. There we go. I'm going to pull up our interview, and then we will right away do the giveaway. He's giving away 2 books, not just one. Very generous guy. Okay, I'm going to remove myself and okay, have I got a treat for you? This next segment is an interview with one of my favorite authors, actually my favorite genealogy mystery author. I call you my favorite forensic genealogy author. And we're here to talk about what's going to be happening tomorrow, Nathan. Dylan Goodwin, welcome to Mondays with Myrt.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad I'm back.
Yes, it's all good. So you've got something happening tomorrow. Tell me about it.
Yes. So the latest in the Morton series, book
Mhm.
10, A Deserter's Tale, will
Mhm.
be out tomorrow in paperback, which I know lots of people are eagerly anticipating. So yes, it's available everywhere tomorrow in paperback.
Okay, so this is number 10 in the Morton series. And Morton Ferrier is quite a character. He's your lead. He's your alter ego, I honestly think. Is that possibly true?
Yeah, lots of people think that, yes. And sometimes when I'm being interviewed, I'll be called Morton, and I just go along with it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I started out, I think I probably did start, base him on me. And then, funnily enough, I did it for my master's in creative writing. And the first time I wrote something substantial with Morton, my university lecturer said, don't base it on yourself, because you end up actually making the character not all that likable, because you think you can't make them be nice. So people then go, oh, that character's lovely. And it's based on Nathan and he's lovely. So you end up making them not very likable. So he said, don't do that. So I switched from that point. I
Okay.
stopped. So now he's just like a very good friend of mine. I know what he's
It's,
thinking and what he'll do.
well, he emulates some of the behavior you have when it comes to research
Mm,
at archives and libraries and getting original documents and dealing with super fussy archivists in certain places that expect you to be very quiet and only, I mean, it's like you're disturbing him to ask for a
yeah.
file.
Hmm. Yes.
Oh, so Morton is, as I mentioned, is number 10 in this series. This new, The Deserter's Tale, is number 10. And I've actually had people ask me because they know I love your work. Um, do we need to read the books in order? Like between now and tomorrow, people would have to read 9 books real quick. Like, tell me what you planned as
Yeah.
far as accessibility.
So usually on the back of the books, I say this is a standalone book and it can be read out of order, but it is a series. So as you said, it's 10 books, and each one is a different case for Morton, and that case gets wrapped up. So you could pick up book 5 and you haven't needed to read the first 4, but his backstory does go through the whole series, so you would be missing out on that. But with this one, I haven't put that on the back because I do think you probably do need to have read the others, because I basically wrote it as it's book 10 and it was the 10-year anniversary. So it came out on ebook on Kindle in last September, which was 10
Mhm,
years exactly since the publication of the first book, Hide in the Past.
mhm.
And the idea was it would be quite a short story, just kind of a celebratory thing. And it just got longer and longer and longer and actually became like a novella length. And it's kind of it's picking on lots of bits from his past, really. And I think that might be a bit confusing if you hadn't read the rest. I think you could read it and understand it all, but I think you'd have a better experience if you read the first
Well,
9.
so he is traveling to my where half of, well, 2/3 of my family lives, my 2 households of grandchildren, to Salt
Hmm.
Lake City, the
Yeah,
genealogy mecca of the world,
yeah,
basically. And he is on a mission, but it is resolving issues from his past that has been that second storyline through these earlier novels.
yeah,
And there is a lot of intertwining, because that, his concerns with his family, with his relationships and who he is in the world, end up getting addressed very directly in The Deserter's Tale. Is that a good way to sum it up? Old Myrt's
Yes.
off her rocker? No.
No, no, that is a good way. It's hard as well because you don't want to give spoilers, so it's very difficult to
Yeah,
talk
you
about
saw me choose the words.
choosing your words. Yeah, so yeah, Morton's based in the UK. Most of his cases are in the UK, but he in this story he gets invited to in 2023 to give 2 talks, and one of them is on researching your Sussex ancestors, so he's quite comfortable with that. And the other
Mhm.
one, he's invited to do a DNA panel, and he's not really sure what he's supposed to be doing and who else is on the panel. And I've got some lovely guest appearances for the panel. So the real Drew Smith is hosting, and the panel is Diane Southard, Johnny Pearl, Roberta Estes, Morton, and Morton's ex-girlfriend, Maddie, who is the lead character in the other series of books that I do that are based in Salt Lake City, the Venator cold case series. So yeah, so basically he goes there and he's on this panel with Maddie. He hasn't seen since she basically left their relationship in England many
Oh, the
years.
word is dumped. Yes.
Yeah. He was dumped. Yeah, and he didn't really fully understand why she dumped him and went. But he's kind of got over that, and he's got his own life and family and everything. But he was obviously a bit awkward, and he didn't know how to tell his wife about the fact that his ex-girlfriend was on the panel. But then his talk was being live streamed, so it kind of yeah. And so yeah, he talks to Maddie, and they kind of explore their past together. And
Explore a little.
yeah,
Yep.
and he's also there trying to work on a case for his wife's great grandfather, who he was English and he served in the First World War, and then suddenly he basically disappeared and ended up in Las Vegas, as you do. And so
Yeah,
Morton,
right.
yeah, so Morton is using traditional genealogy and DNA to try and figure out basically what happened to this guy, and that man's story is loosely based on some of my own family tree who did a very similar thing. Basically, he just upped sticks from his family and just had a second, changed his name, had a second wife without divorcing the first one, and then did the same again and had a third wife, changed his name, didn't divorce. Anyway, so
Got a
Morton is
long
also,
story there.
yeah. He's working on all these different things, and yeah, so it's kind of it's a nice celebratory thing for the 10-year anniversary for the series.
So, folks, those of you who are into DNA research and using it as another tool in your genealogical toolbox, you'll recognize that the names of the other panelists at Roots Tech are well-regarded DNA experts who know how to take DNA results and look at the paper trail and decide, are these is there a misattributed parentage relationship, or is this on the mom side or the dad side of your DNA tree? And that's what intrigues me as a genealogist. Now, in your earlier books, DNA hadn't really been invented. Well, we had DNA, but we hadn't been
Yeah,
using it this way.
no.
Now it's pretty universal, and we hear every day of great
Mhm.
breakthroughs because there'll be a long lost cousin, and this separated twins end up, coming together again. But what I like about your books in this series, well, I like all your series actually, but anyway, this one is that you're actually talking about going to and parking in this odd parking lot at this archive and filling out the call slip.
Mhm.
We're following along with Morton as if we were his shadow, and going through the frustrations of waiting for something to come
Mhm.
up, and nothing ever comes. It doesn't get there till the last 20 minutes before the
Yeah.
place closes. And then the conundrum of needing wall space to plot out what you know and what you postulate, and trying to prove or disprove, and waking up in the night to try something new at this website or that. Very typical behavior that we all go through as we're diligently trying to climb our family tree. Let's switch gears a little bit and go exploring on your website. Let me pull that up, and I'll actually zoom in on it. Love that shot of you. So mysterious right then and there.
Hearing aid I've been
Genealogical.
from you.
Oh, really? Great. Okay, and so here's the link to the book, and if you click it, it takes you right to Amazon. Yep, it came up right away. Amazing. My internet's working. And yes, it is available in Kindle today and hardcover. And it is heavy reading, but I prefer paperback of late. I don't know why, I just do. Now, one of the things when a person clicks here on books, there is the forensic genealogy series. Here's Venator's Cold Case. That's the newer series. And aren't you supposed to be typing on a book in that series?
I am, yeah. So I'm working on book 3
Yeah.
right now, and yeah, just before I came on here, I've just closed the file down. I think I was at it's basically it's almost done. It's almost done. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I'm nearly there, and then obviously it needs to then go through the editing process and everything. But I'm hoping for a mid August release for this
For
book.
that series. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm scrolling on now, folks, I think I can even zoom in a little bit. Let me just do the plus, control plus plus, so that you can see it very well. You did the thing of adding a prequel at a certain point in time.
Yeah.
And here's the deserter tale. And other interesting things here is where you will be placing the 3rd volume. These are very intriguing, heavy on the DNA part. And then you've got
Yeah.
some interesting things like Mrs. McDougall
Hmm.
and some nonfiction books. So I need to be fair. The bulk of your work is the fictional character of the Venator case and of Morton Ferrier and his cadre of his family.
Yes.
I'm calling, and family can be actual family, and it can be those that you draw near to, and they accept you as family, and vice versa. But you have
Yeah.
some very detailed um, uh, nonfiction books as well, and I hear you're outgrowing your office space there.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah. I started with the non-fiction. They were the things that I kind of got me into writing really, and I really enjoyed the process and thought and I had fiction ideas and thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining me today. But we got a surprise for our viewers, and I have 2 books to give away. The new Morton book 10, I'm calling it that, The
Yeah.
Deserter's Tale. And so what I'm going to do is have, after you step away, we'll admit that we're pre-recording this because of your jet-setting lifestyle. You're not available on Mondays before the release of
Yeah.
Morton's 10, The Deserter's Tale. So what we'll do, my panelists will help me pick 2 lucky winners, and I will see that they receive your book. Compliments of you. Thank you very much for donating that.
You're
And
welcome.
have a great debut, and keep typing.
I
I
will. I
can.
will.
All right, folks. Oh, golly, folks, you can see why I enjoy Nathan's books. They read like talking with him. It's so easy to relate. It's not one of those books where you have to like go back 3 chapters and say, "What the heck was that?" You get the flow. It's readable. It's relatable as a genealogist. I'm really strong on the paperwork side, the paper trail side, and am learning more and more about the DNA side. It's like my DNA was like your dog. You just had your dog tested, Nathan. Mine's just vanilla, plain vanilla. Everybody's lined up where they're supposed to be, so it
Yeah.
was a non-issue for me. But folks, have fun, and thank you, Nathan, so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, that was a fun interview. You can tell that I totally adore the man. He's just wonderful. Yeah, totally love it. I did send the link out, and for his website, nathandillengoodwin.com, a rather difficult thing to remember. So yeah, there's that. And I'm now going to see how many people are here. Got about 34 people watching live, 35 right now. So I'll give that person a chance to type in the hashtag Mondays with Myrt with a capital letter on each of those words. Gosh, I can actually point to them. And we'll now switch over to the built in giveaway tool that StreamYard has provided us. Let me pull it up. Let's see. We only have 21 entries. Oh, I feel like Michael Daniels. Please go ahead and type in the if you would like to win. One more entry I'll take. Hashtag Mondays with Myrt. We're going to be drawing twice. And Maria, could you do me a favor and uh, and bring let's see, where are you? Here you are. I'm going to have you um we got it. I've got a lot of windows open here. What I need you to do is to keep track of who on earth it is that is winning, that has won it, because yeah, unlike Zoom, I don't really have the email address of people. I only have their screen name.
All right.
So they're going to have to come and meet with me after I hit the stop recording, and we'll go from there. But anyway, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Hillary's good. She says, not only enter the hashtag, but don't forget to like the video. Those things help. I'm starting from scratch. I took down everything when I retired because people continue to write to me about 600 or 700 emails a day. No kidding. And I shut it all down. And now we're doing Mondays with Myrt, and I'm gradually adding some of the oldies but goodies into the archive. Okay, so we now have 24 entries. I think that's good. Let's go ahead. We're going to hit the draw button and see who gets to win it. Hillary. Oh, Paul. Paul. Oh, Paul, I know who you are. Paul, I'm going to need your street address. You can just send me a private message on Facebook. Congratulations, Paul Hawthorne. You get one. Nathan sent me a copy, signed it and everything. So it won't be long. It doesn't take long to get here from England. Very, very nice. Okay. Now we'll hit the draw again button. Okay. You got his name down so I don't forget, Maria.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. Sherry got it. Yay. Okay, Sherry, you know how to get through to me too. I need your street address, dear. And I will give it to Nathan, and I will not sell it to any advertising agencies, no matter what. Okay. Okay. All right. I like to pull the panelists up because we have a conundrum. We're really happy that that interview went so well. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get everybody up on the panel. And the ability for me to share that video was because I use Chrome. It must be a Chrome tab, and the sound has to be turned on. So those of you who are just learning to use StreamYard, that's how you do it. It's a different kind of screen share. Okay, here is the question or the conundrum that I wanted to bring up. It's on the docket. Blaine Bettinger made a post on Facebook and it's about whether or not the credentialing companies like BCG and ICAP-Gen and the registered genealogists over in UK, if they should permit the use of AI in the submission of work as part of a portfolio, part of the credentialing. And the reason this came up, I'm getting feedback from somebody. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Not you, Maria. I don't know. Anyway, the reason it came up is that Blaine Bettinger noticed that the ICAP Gen people they've issued a blanket statement forbidding the use of any AI. And maybe you could mute yourself, everyone, and kind of wave your hand if you want to make a comment. Good. Whoever that was, I'm not hearing that feedback. I felt like I was in a water tank, like Sea Hunt. Do you remember Sea Hunt, the old television program we had? Yeah, it sounded like I was underwater breathing. Yeah. Okay. The Board for Certification of Genealogists is taking a different tack. They are reviewing and considering. And that's a good thing, in my opinion, because as Blaine pointed out in his article, maybe I can have Hillary share that link with you from the Google Sheet. We've been using AI for a long time. It's spell check, it's a red squiggly that is smart enough to know whether or not it should be TOO or TO or TWO in a sentence. Also, when you're typing, and I see this mostly in email, where you're typing and it wants to predict what you're going to say, the next couple of words. And if you just press tab, it accepts those couple of words. And there's Grammarly. We use word count. I mean, seriously. So maybe it's ill-advised for ICAP Gen to have made a blanket statement. On the other hand, AI can help us write up our summaries better. I don't know. What do you think? Raise your hand. How do you feel about this? Do you think we should, Randy, you're saying something, so unmute yourself, dear.
Yeah, we've all used tools. I mean, everything we do now, almost on Ancestry or Family Search, has some tool to use to index, to the search. All these things are tools that everybody uses, and that's hidden. It wasn't called AI before, but it actually is.
Yeah.
But now we have the generative AI tools to write reports, to summarize things, to who knows, to interrogate an image, to all these things that happen. And so we're all learning to use these things. But I really don't think that using a tool to transcribe something, to translate something, I don't think that should be forbidden. I think that writing a report to submit to BCG or ICAP Gen, I think that shouldn't be allowed, but there may be areas where it could be.
Okay. Who else wants to raise their hand here? Hillary, I hear you.
I noticed that one of the things that they seem to be not allowing is things like Grammarly, which is really just a spell check. It's a little bit more than a spell check, but because it's a spell check, sometimes you've probably used it and you're not even realizing that you're using it.
Yeah.
And it just makes things look nicer, but it's difficult because they probably can't tell the difference between you just using something to check your spelling and something to actually write it for you.
Two things come to mind, and that, Jill, I'll pull you up next. But let me get these before my brain forgets them. Number one, Randy's daughter, who teaches at the university level, looked at some reports that her students gave, and she calculated, wasn't it 80% of her submissions she could tell had AI in it, because she has tools she can use to identify it. They've used it for let's avoid copyright issues and plagiarizing, but they can also it's that type of a tool. And that's a little concerning, slightly off topic, but it is possible for BCG or ICAP Gen to employ these same type of tools. They'd have to learn about them. Now, Randy, when you said we're using tools, we're using AI indexed the 1950 census. Well, I guess we didn't use it. The website used it, Ancestry and Family Search and the National Archives. But what about using BYU's labs that help you get to the land records or the probate files that are not that are not indexed by human beings? You're now causing AI to look at this document. Jill, isn't there a component of the BCG portfolio to be able to read handwriting in a
Yes.
document?
Yes. So I have pretty strong feelings about this, and basically they're in agreement with both Randy and you. And first of all, what I'd like to do is just read the quote from the BCG application guide that addresses this issue. And it's under the requirement restrictions. And it says, no material in an initial application may be reviewed, critiqued, or proofread by another individual. Now, as Blaine, attorney that he is, while still disclaiming that he has any, piece in this, has clearly showed that precedent throughout the law for a long time in the United States has ruled that a machine is not an individual. Nor is the gorilla that paints a picture.
Corporations are.
Right. Corporations are, but
in the political realm, yeah.
But machine is not. And as Randy pointed clearly out, AI is a machine. So then the next thing from my perspective is that I will tell you that I do believe that the BCG is going about it the right way. Now, whether or not ICAP Gen had a committee that looked at this thoroughly, I don't know. But some of the issues that came up in two discussions that I've been participating in is that, okay, let's agree that there ought to be some limitations to the use. The difficulty is that AI has a range of uses, a wide range of uses. And so that means that you have to draw a line somewhere. Now, ICAP Gen has taken the approach of no, which I think, like you and Randy have pointed out, you can't say no over here because you're just way too extreme on it, and there's pieces of it that are and should be allowed. So the issue then is where do you draw the line? And where do you draw the line today? Because it's moving so fast that line might be in the wrong place tomorrow. And so the idea that an institution, whether they be BCG or ICAP Gen, draw a line in this makes it extremely difficult. My approach is, from a mental standpoint, is that ChatGPT, something I just use almost daily now, is a tool we use, and from a BCG standpoint, we're supposed to give them our usual work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's our usual work and we're usually using ChatGPT or some other of them, then hey, it's time to move into that realm. The other thing is that even if you asked it to translate a document for it, all of us know it is not perfect. And you're still going to have to apply the human touch to it to get it corrected. And sometimes there's a lot of corrections. I put in an English will into ChatGPT right when it first came out horrible. Okay, so I put it same will in, just a couple of, and this one I used actually for my BCG portfolio initial one. And I put it in there just recently to see if it had improved. It was worse. So the reality is we can't trust it until we apply our own review to it. As soon as we apply our own review to it, I believe we have made it ours. And so using a tool like AI, I believe, should be fully allowed in all cases. I think it's just going to be a challenge for some people who maybe don't use it or don't understand how it puts words together. The plagiarism tools aren't going to help, because all it does is put one word that usually happens after another next. So it's going to be composing original script that may be wrong. So it's more of a matter, it's not taking out sections from someone's work and putting them in. It's instead taking the next word. So you're not going to see
I've
the
seen
same tools work. So it's
my course.
really interesting.
Okay, I'm going to beg to differ just on that minor last point.
Okay.
Because I'm in a class with, I think there's like 30 of us, but mostly 23 show up at one point, where in their homework, and we all see each other's homework, entire things have been quoted, recognizably quoted, but no quotation mark and no attribution. And so that's concerning.
That would be concerning. Absolutely.
Very. But
yeah.
but that meant that at least some of the students were smart enough to recognize it as a quote. I'm not saying I was. I'm just saying.
Right.
When Randy talks about, let's talk about BYU Labs again, and using AI to search for a probate for. That's instead of getting up and looking through the microfilm that might cover the time period our ancestor lived somewhere, and going, turning and cranking through the microfilm point by point, as opposed to having to go to the courthouse, pulling out the book and going through page by page. There is, as you say quite rightly, Jill, a line we might draw today that would be obsolete tomorrow, because just since we started this class, which we're on our 6th week of it, our poor instructors had to rewrite almost every week the handout and the assignment for that week, because ChatGPT or Dolly or one of the whatever it is we're using that week has had major changes. Somewhere a happy medium has to be struck. Anybody else want to say anything? Because I do have an opinion here. Frank, jump in here.
Yeah, I just wrote it in the chat as well, but the real danger is that while we can see hallucinations and citations at the moment, we might not do so in the future as the language models progresses and evolves. So we may end up in a couple of years with false informations and breaking of copyrights left and right. So we have obviously looking forward, coming up with rules not to use something when dealing on a scientific field.
It's a very big conundrum to resolve. Jill mentions, wasn't it that in just a few minutes you're indexing for your book? Was it under 2 minutes? It did 250 pages.
Well, I've got about 280 pages of a book, and I'm indexing now. I'm having it create a word list for me, which is the first step for getting an index.
Yeah.
And so it for less than that, I did 2 chapters just to check. It took literally seconds to develop a word list.
Seconds. Okay.
Seconds. And
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
absolutely right, except it missed one word.
Okay.
So, but I had to check it, of course.
Okay.
Last
Yeah.
night, I started the word list for the entire book, and it took me about 3 hours to develop a draft word index. And I will be
Okay.
using that today to check it to see what's missing or what sort of modifications I want to make.
Yeah. This is it can be a good tool, a
It's a
really good
very,
tool.
yeah, it's a very good genealogical assistant.
Yeah. Here's one of the ways that folks have used AI. They've taken spreadsheets of extracted information from ancestry.com, actually, census records
Mhm.
for a whole county, just copied and pasted it over there to Excel. And rather than doing their own sorting
Mhm.
and inside of Excel, they asked ChatGPT 4.0 to analyze it and find out easy things that you can do in Excel. What is the highest number of acres, the lowest number of acres that someone might own in the county, the value of real estate? What are the top 5 places where people lived previously? Things like that. You could easily do that in Excel. But what ChatGPT 4.0 could do was to say that SC, you could tell it that SC was the same as SO period CAR. Like there's different ways to abbreviate. And it's not always the same enumerator that does a whole county, right? No.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so different enumerators interpret their assignments for abbreviating the previous location differently. And there has to be, it's not a lookup, it's a conversation back and forth, where you and I could make that assumption or understanding of multiple ways to spell a name even and see it as the same, and go from you have to have a critical thinking brain. Some of it is good, some of it's not. Definitely cannot use the translation of handwriting to text for that one assignment in the BCG initial portfolio submission, where they give you a document and you have to read the handwriting, interpret the handwriting. Okay. So let's see. Steve Little. Oh wait, we skipped. Yes, there is that Facebook group, Genealogy and AI. And he did come and teach one week. It was like the first class I ever took in computers, like an evening computer users group, and everything just zoomed way over my head because there was just so much information coming. It was like listening to Lloyd Boxster talk. There, he just would just, oh, you're laughing because you know, don't you? You Texan girl, you. Thank you, Melinda. There is a switching of, oh, yeah. We don't want to have the witchcraft crowd. We've got to figure out how to become informed. We are the human in charge. Something that you started to say, Frank, that is interesting is we may lose our critical thinking capabilities, just like more than half of my grandchildren cannot read cursive. Ugh, not going there. Anybody know what NGS is doing? Which Randy are we talking? You're glad they're working on it? What? Tell me.
Yeah, I'm
Tell
I'm
me.
sorry. I actually think I misunderstood Randy in that one, because NGS is definitely leading the pack in classes and education on how to
Yes,
use it. I was still in
because
the principles of usage mode when I
okay,
posted what
got
I
it.
was saying.
All right, yeah, because they were the first to have a course on it at all. Steve Little is doing that work.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to be learning from him in June. Wait, it's this month. Heaven help me. This was my year to try to learn AI, and I'm learning a lot. Okay, so much for my saying I'm not going to do much AI discussion. All right, let's have Hillary and Gwen stay on the screen, and the rest of you can step away. I'm going to now share my screen. Let me pull up my Roots Magic and get ready to share that screen. See what we did. Moved everything way over. I love it. A little, we need little commercial break or something when old Myrt sets stuff up here. Okay, so Miss Gwen, is it Gwendolyn or is it Gwen? Like mine is Patricia, but don't call me that. My mama called me that when she was mad.
It's just Gwen.
It's not just Gwen. It is Gwen. Okay.
The Gaelic
Good.
spelling.
All right. So here was our initial issue. We were talking about Wikitree and how Randy had uploaded his GEDCOM file years ago, like I did, and you then were on the audience side and had uploaded your GEDCOM file but could not find it to do what we said. That you said, where is everything? And you subsequently did find that when people at that first meeting discussion that you have to match each individual to, check each individual to see if they've already got that person on Wikitree. How's that going in a couple of sentences? And then we'll demonstrate how to create a GEDCOM file and how long it takes. Okay, so what happened?
I did pretty well. I just had some questions like, what's the best search to use because you have to look, if it doesn't match, then you have to search for it because you don't want to, you've got to match, you have to make sure.
Got to match.
It's there, it's not there. And so you need to find that out first. So I pretty much worked with that.
So when you uploaded, it didn't see. Randy and I did it decades ago.
Mhm.
In the previous century or whenever. I can't even remember how long ago it was. Did a screen not come up to say your GEDCOM file is getting processed? Your next step is to do a match. Is to do matching.
Yeah, it comes up with a separate GEDCOM screen. So like a GEDCOM analysis screen, it's like almost like a separate program within it. And then that's where you compare each one.
Okay.
Or each row.
Does that make sense, Hillary?
Yeah, because like you, I added my GEDCOM mine in 2011. I think you might have had yours slightly before that. And at that time, they didn't do GED Compare, but they now do GED Compare because there's so many profiles that are already on there that they don't want things to be duplicated. So you get a screen that shows whether you've will compare what you've uploaded with what's already on there.
All right, so we've got two terms. I'm going to pull this over onto my other screen that we've just mentioned. One is GEDCOM and one is GED Compare. GEDCOM is, and let me present my screen now. GEDCOM for the newbies is a generic genealogy data file. It takes all that data, and it's like the United Nations of genealogy programs, or it's where they have where it can translate or be, you export it from your program in a GEDCOM file to share it on a website or to share with a cousin, a newfound cousin, who may not use the same genealogy program. So I would never, ever use a genealogy program, never recommend one that didn't allow you to export. GED Compare is a peculiar, is only found at WikiTree. This is that program that they didn't have for me and Hillary and Randy in the dark ages of WikiTree, in the Stone Age of WikiTree, where it would then compare and contrast and work with resolving the problem of having 4,000 duplicates for your one ancestor. And thank heavens they have that. That's not available on other websites. This is customized for WikiTree. Let's take a break now and create a GEDCOM file. And I'm going, Mr. Myrt is older than I am, so the fact that the file we're using will start with him. You know that he was born in 1949, okay? He's much older. So here's what the file looks like. Here he is. And let's go up his line a little bit. He's in position 1 here. And these are all the names that I've collected so far. Is there a limit now, Hillary? I could upload my entire GEDCOM file. What is the limit?
I think the current limit is something like 5,000. Well, they don't recommend you have more than 5,000 profiles that you do have, and each person has a separate profile. So I think that's what the limit is. But certainly, looking at that, there's not a lot of people on there.
No, there's not. There are not. Okay. So here's Gordon, his dad, his mom, typical pedigree format. And we are going to go to File. We're not going to back up, import. We're going to export. This is in Roots Magic. There are similar things in these other genealogy programs. We're going to click Export Data. And it wants to know very specifically if you want it to go to Ancestry or make a GEDCOM file or upload to Dropbox, which is a whole nother discussion. We're doing the GEDCOM file. Export to a file readable by most other genealogy programs. And now it wants us to choose where to put it. Wants to go to OneDrive. Boy, I'm sick and tired of OneDrive. So I'm going to tell it to put it on the desktop so I can find it. Okay, and this is, I'm going to prefix it with Mr. Myrt. Where are we? Home. Mr. Myrt. Okay, because I'm only going to start with him. It's not my full file from Ancestry that I have been working on. And it's going to be a .ged. That's the file extension, not DOC. It's technically an ASCII file for you techno nerds, but it's .ged. And we're going to click save. And now I'm given some options. And I can export everyone, but I need to select from a list because I don't want my stuff to go there again. All right. Okay, so Gwen is saying that she used Roots Magic and she had to go back in to select people to go in that GEDCOM because her tree was too big. Okay, makes sense. And Randy said he uploaded his file in 2011 also. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look for Erickson. And we'll go to Gordon. Okay. We're going to select him. And now I'm going to work from this. So far, we just have Gordon there. These are all the categories: notes, sources, LDS information, addresses I'm deselecting, multimedia links I am deselecting because where my photos of his ancestors reside on my drive C, my C drive on my Windows PC, any multimedia address like that will not work on Wikitree. I would like my notes to go there because I don't have private notes. I could include private notes and private facts if I wanted on this side, but I'm not planning to. And I'm going to privatize living people with just their full name, but not all the information. It doesn't need LDS information. Notes are useful, I think. What do you think, Hillary?
Yeah, notes can be useful because often you've got bits there which may help when you're starting to do some research on that individual if you actually end up importing them.
Yeah. All right. So let's click OK and see what it does next. Okay. It only created a file with one person. It did not give me the option to get his ancestors, did it?
No.
Which is what I wanted. So something weird is going on. All right. But normally it does. They would say all the ancestors and descendants of this person. Well, Gordon doesn't have any children. He's a wonderful grandpa to my people. Yeah, I need to mark the people I want in the GEDCOM file. Thank you. All right. But basically, that's how you create one. You have to follow the directions. If you don't know the directions, you can search under, you can search on the website even for assistance and help. Is useful. Help within the program. It's specific to your people. Okay. Now we're exiting the program. I'm not backing up, but anyway, when you go to Wikitree, it sounds like somebody wants to say something or somebody new has arrived. Oh, Ellen's back. Okay. So Gwen, jump in here. You had a comment.
Oh, I just said that with when you were talking about notes, and as far as posting online trees, I'm not sure. I didn't know where I didn't read the terms of service for the wiki tree, but I know for Ancestry and other commercial services, it's important to look at the terms of service to see what they're going to do with your information. and I didn't really like the one for Ancestry, so I just kind of asked people to message me instead of having having it on the notes on there, even though I think only the person that owns the tree can see it. I still don't want Ancestry to use my date information, especially with something I've done analysis on.
It's nerve-wracking what you give. My notes include, I started with personal ancestral file. So initially my notes were the transcriptions of census records in paragraph format. They were word for word, not an abstract. Abstracts the definition of abstract in England is word for word, isn't it, Hillary?
Well, abstract is usually just a little bit of
Oh, okay. There's
Right.
some country, maybe it was Scotland where they were telling me, because I spent a lot of time with our Scotland study group years ago where they said abstract means it's it. And I'm like, here, abstract means the party of the first part and the party of the second part and what it is they're buying or selling and the date, kind of, and maybe who the witnesses are. And whereas word for word transcript is the term we use more universally. Randy has a good point. Randy, come on up here. What did you just say about the notes?
When you upload notes to an ancestry member tree, the general person notes that are attached to the name in your Roots Magic file or whatever file. So Ancestry limits those to only editors of the tree. Okay, so you and I can't see yours and you can't see my general notes if you're not a member of my tree. But fact notes show up in profiles. So I use fact notes quite a bit. And so some of them show up. I don't know how much of them. Some of them are big because I transcribe documents and stuff.
I have a similar thing because when I heard the trouble with GEDCOM files and sources getting scrambled when they go different places, I transcribe that fact for the fact might have 3 documents that concern the marriage. So the transcription of all 3 documents, the license, the return of marriage, the announcement in the newspaper, they're all in the one fact note for that event known as the wedding, or the fact known as the wedding. Okay, so what are you telling me? You're typing and you guys are on the panel. You get to talk. So go ahead and talk. Gwen.
Oh no, I wasn't
you've already
typing anything.
No, you're right. It was this, and we've already said it. That's my fault.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
That was me throwing the mic to you without even paying appropriate attention. You got to watch old Myrt here sometimes. Sorry about that. Okay, so when a person then logs in to WikiTree, there is the ability to upload. Okay. And I need to create an account for Mr. Myrt. So but I don't want to do it because it only has one name in there right now. Talk to me and about some of the problems that you and Hillary are planning to discuss. And I want to be quiet and listen to this because you have run into some challenges, Gwen, as you have been going through this matching process. And Hillary, do you want to take the lead on this, or do you want Gwen to?
If she just says what her query is, she'd listed some quick questions and I've got them written down somewhere, and so we can go from there.
Okay.
I'll just do the top few because I don't want to take everybody's time.
Okay. We've got 20 minutes, so we're good.
Okay. On the GEDCOM page, it says import data from your file to create and improve profiles for individuals. How do I import the data from this GEDCOM compare page into the profile?
Yeah. If you've got a GEDCOM that you've imported, it won't let you add anybody until you've completed all the matching or the suggested matches. So whether you've confirmed them or rejected them, it won't let you do anything in terms of adding anything until you've done that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to do all of them. Nice.
Yeah. So
I
it's
think
really
it has
2
to be the whole
passes.
lot. I think it has to be the whole lot. It certainly says on the help page, it says add buttons don't appear and on the main table until all suggested matches in your GEDCOM have been confirmed or rejected. So I, as far as I'm aware, although I've not actually done it myself because I've not needed to add in.
We're a lot of help.
Yeah, I've you know, that you have to do them all these suggested things. Although it is set, you know, and it's also saying like if you're doing it gradually, if you're gradually updating that, which obviously you're going to be if it's a big GEDCOM, and you've already gone through some people and you've done your suggestions and rejections. It also says you probably ought to, if you've left it a few days, refresh again in case in the meantime somebody's added one of those people that you've already reviewed. So before you finally finish, you're going to have to go through and refresh things to make sure. Although we still end up with duplicates. So, you know, as much as we try to avoid duplicates, you are going to end up with duplicates. The main thing is that you check for them once you've actually created any of the new ones that you've created. This is the page, got lots of information.
So GEDCompare, and I should have capitalized the COM as well, is what that's the help page you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. And it explains the process. Let me share this link because as Randy says, this is a good place to put your file because other people are very actively working on source citations and adding bios and things that he and I are not getting around to because of other things in our life. Okay. So I've sent, let me send the link out to the public. There we go. Oh, I think Melinda put it out there. Great. Okay, next question that you have there, Gwen.
Well, I think one of the when she mentioned that answered a couple of the other questions I had. But as far as searching, is it better to search from the GEDCOM page or use the find function on the tree page, or are they both the same thing?
I think what happens, I think it brings up the closest matches that you've got, and obviously they're the ones that you're most likely to be. Unfortunately, there's not a lot at the moment. There's not a great deal of matching with locations. It is improving, so you might find that you will eventually add people, and then when you go to have a look, you might find that because I add people individually, and when I add people individually, I go to a page and it'll bring up some suggestions. It could bring up for some of the common surnames, you know, like if I put Smith in, and John Smith in, I could get a whole huge amount of John Smiths with a similar date by a year or two. But there are ways now, if we're individually adding people, that you can actually put a location thing, and it might take it down to the country. So say I've got people in England, Scotland, Wales, somewhere like that. It perhaps take it down to the UK rather than and exclude the people that were born in the US or somewhere else, so that you can do it.
Okay. Randy said he was given 3 months to finish the GEDCompare, and he did several hundred and hit the timeout. You have to remember, Randy spends hours at his computer. And so that tells us we probably only want to add one tiny branch.
Yeah.
of
I
our
would-
tree at a time.
I would totally say add a small number, and you've got
Have I?
60 days after you last make a do work on it. So basically, if you're not going to be able to work on it for a period of time, you either upload a small amount that you think you're going to be able to manage in the time you've got, or you are going to end up having to import again.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does
I wish
say
it
on
had.
there somewhere.
I wish it had screenshots. I love screenshots. That's one of the reasons why I love watching Randy's or reading Randy's blog post, because he does screenshots step by step.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Um,
information there.
yeah. Oh, this was a place where if you lost your GEDCOM file, here's where it is. All the GEDCOM files I've uploaded. I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'm logged in. I
Mm.
guess I am not yet. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else before we switch gears and talk about a few other things?
No, I think that Hillary's answered the questions. She answered. The only other one I had was, can I answer other branches? And you just talked about that, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Once you've got your GEDCOM added, it's probably worth making sure that then none of them are duplicated, and then working your family out from those individuals that you're managing.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. So how many people did you upload, Gwen? Did you tell us? And I forgot.
Let's see. I have it on my sheet here. Well, I edited or matched 72. I did 98, and I edited 72, and I have, I don't know, probably some more to go.
Yeah.
So it takes time to do it, but it sounds like a batch of 100 at a time is reasonable. Or in the case, because I know Mr. Myrt, if I did the GEDCOM correctly and did the selection of just the Erickson line and the spouse, I'd get that done in a week if I just kept working at it. But we'd have to order in Chinese, and yeah, I couldn't vacuum or do any laundry, something like that. Yeah. Frank says, best thing about WikiTree, you don't need to be creating parents to add a person. So floating trees can be just one person until you connect that person. Good point. Yeah. Okay. That's a good, interesting point. All right. Well, thank you very much, Gwen, for the experience and the challenge. And Hillary, thank you for being here to give the exact answers to questions that she's had, because I mean, I could read that page, but you're the expert in our group, and you're the expert. They recognize you as a top tier person at WikiTree, Hillary, and we're glad to have you here.
I do help out on the beginners. Well, actually, I say beginners, new members question and answers that we do each month. We have a Zoom session, one early in the month and one later in the month. Different times. The one in the later in the month I usually go to. It's because it's on an afternoon's time for me, so it's better.
That's good. Yeah.
And I help out with that, and we've got two or three other people that are really knowledgeable in different aspects of the tree and how to do things and that. New members come along with questions, and we try to help them out with their questions. So if you're stuck, come to one of the new member ones, and come armed with questions.
All right. So I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to look up WikiTree. And we'll see where we are. This is Genealogy TV, but this is WikiTree. And by the way, she's doing a great job over here on Genealogy TV. That's a good one to subscribe to. But here we are. And do they make a playlist for the
there's a most recent one was up there, the new members. I think they have got a playlist, but there was a new members one fairly recently.
Okay, we'll go look here. Yeah,
One.
new members Q&A. Okay, I will get the link here and we will share that. Okay, copy. Okay. This is the new wiki tree members. Okay, good. Yeah. It will get to you shortly. Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to start let me check the docket and see where we are. Okay, we did pretty well, pretty well. Okay. I apparently have to get ready to share my screen. Couldn't be processed. Okay, can't get into YouTube. Let me try it again. And I will share my screen. And this is the lightning round. This is the gal, Dana Leeds, that that I'm taking my course from on AI. This is the announcement of her new YouTube channel. It's called Making Sense of AI and DNA for Genealogists and more. Okay. Site Builder had a very interesting blog post about should you, when you're crafting your citations, should you be using the long URL or a short URL? And there's several different opinions about that. I just sent the link out. I want you to see that. She does talk about Ian McDonald's referencing for genealogists. That's a book on my shelf. She also mentions Elizabeth Shown Mills' Evidence Explained, and I know she is working with edition 4 because I gave it to her. She came to Roots Tech from Australia. The least I could do was order a book not yet available in Australia, and I handed it to her personally. So there. Okay, and then the other. This is another blog you should follow. Diane Elder and her daughter Nicole Dwyer just do their family locket. That's the name of their company. And this article on 5 tips for research when the courthouse burned came across my desk. Randy saw it too. He said it was one of the best for the week. He does that every week. He looks and gives recommendations. But this one, you want to follow this. And it isn't just discover the record loss extent, which is one if you're right and they say we don't have it, they may not explain. We had a fire and it doesn't cover what we know has survived, doesn't cover the time period you're requesting. And so she talks about Family Search Wiki. I'm trying to do this quickly. Please read tip 2 about looking at alternate jurisdictions. I had one in the Kentucky, Virginia time period when, Kentucky or Virginia went all the way to the Mississippi River. And I found information I needed in the subsequent county. Not the county when my guy lived there, but where his son inherited the property, it was in a different county, and that made it look, since I had to actually look at a map, figure that out, that it was the same property. Tip number 3, look for each jurisdiction in the Family Search catalog, not just the township, like for New England, or the city, or the county, or the state. You can see what various jurisdictions, and I'm just talking U.S. governmental jurisdictions here. And of course, we have some of those places like Arlington, Virginia, and I think Alexandria that are independent of a county. They're unique. You learn these things. Yeah. She also talks, if you read this about the analysis from various census records, very smart. And she got into land records, federal land records, where the federal government gave property to people who are willing to either do a cash entry sale to help develop the West or homesteading. I have ancestors that did desert land claims, which were similar. You had to improve it every year for 5 years, things along that line. The tax lists, and then pull it all together, correlate. This discussion, this is worth printing out and having it to discuss. Maria, are you telling me that it's getting to be time? She is. Good. Thank you. Yeah. You could take this publicly posted blog post, publicly available, and use it for a class at your local genealogy society. It is publicly available, and these points are well taken. It's that good. All right. I think we're going to finish early because it's starting to get stormy again. Panelists, thank you so much for working with me today. We had plan A, B, C, and D. Should I get bounced off, be able to come back on in 2 minutes? Believe me, Maria and Hillary and Melinda and our gal Sherry over. I don't know how I do this without the panelists and the ones of you that have participated with some sticky wicket discussions about the use of AI, etc. My good friend Maria, come visit me this summer. I hope you will come visit before or after that wedding. Anyway, Maria says you definitely need to check different jurisdictions depending on the time period. Especially when dealing with foreign records because it changes depending on the year. And yeah, is that record going to be in Polish or Russian, etc.? Thank you for giving that link out, Randy. I appreciate that. Somehow I missed doing that. Silly old Myrt here. Yeah, and thank you to Sherry for saying, remember to hit that subscribe button. And they're very animated nowadays. And you can then click the bell to the side of it to receive notifications whenever I post something publicly. All right, so we've got Paul Hawthorne. Maria, who's our other winner? I can't remember right off the bat. Whoops, I just pulled you off stage. Who's the other winner? You need to unmute yourself, dear.
Sorry about that. My fault.
Sherry is. Okay. Yep. All right. All right. Give me your snail mail address so I can forward it. All right. It's all good. Gwen said she has done lots of research in Northern Irish jurisdictions, townland, parish, barony, county. Yeah. You have to learn the lay of the land, don't you? And what the terminology is. It's all good. All right, folks. Well, there's nothing left to say, but I'm Dear Myrtle, your not so retired friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.